Yesterday I was going to make this video, but I got home from the gym way too late, and it was just not enough time to be able to really work on these talking points. And I had great material for doing this video because Gen Z came in the morning, and the first thing he said to me is millennial steam. The girl that I'd been talking to that I met online through a friend wasn't real. It was just someone that was playing a joke on him. And when they were supposed to meet up, the joke was obvious that this wasn't a real person. But he didn't take it as I would have taken it because I've been left on dates so many times that I don't even put forth any effort towards women anymore. I gave up on that so many, I would say decades ago, because I know that, when you don't have a whole lot to bring to the table when it comes to a person that would be a good fit for a relationship, it's either about just having fun or it's just never going to happen. And if you spent yourself lifelong single like myself, there's just really nothing to look forward to because everyone has weird habits. Everyone is going to be on the spectrum for autism at some point. I didn't realize that Gen Z was so high on it until I asked what are subtle signs in the workplace that you're working with someone who is a low functioning person. And there's so many red flags that I was just like, I stopped looking at the list. It just wasn't worth it. And anyhow, also getting into the same topic, my Gen Z's decided that this job isn't going to work out for him. He looks at what his bills are. His bills are identical to mine, maybe even higher because he has more responsibilities, but he makes significantly less than I do, almost half. And that means that he's going to have to continually ask his parents to help him out. And he's gotten to the point where it's not, his parents are telling him, and this is Gen Z being told by either boomers or Gen X, that we're going to stop giving you money because you need to become more reliant on yourself. But then you look at the wages that these people are getting, and it's not feasible. Either they're going to get money from their parents or they're going to have to get a second or third job. So when this topic came up, the one that I will be talking about shortly, it was sent to me by David Hoffman because I've been doing videos like this. And this video on the site where it was put up, it gained millions and millions of views because it's something that people are fascinated by, especially women who are out there saying that everything good is not good when it comes to men and men who want to start families and men who want to buy homes and men who want to build long-term wealth. It's just not happening for a large percentage of the population. So here are my talking points. The decline of male workforce participation, economic and social factors driving withdrawal, the role of dignity and identity employment, the psychological cost of low-wage jobs. So those are just the taglines that the ChatGPT drew up for me for this video. Obviously, I'm not going to read those verbatim. I am just going to give you guys my thoughts on each topic, hopefully staying within the 20-minute range. So let's get into that. Since the 1960s, a growing number of men between the age 25 to 55 have been dropping out of the labor force, creating a long-term trend of withdrawal from traditional employment. If you, like myself, have looked at the jobs reports now for years, you will see that every month they drop a jobs report showing that there are 8 million, 10 million jobs that are open. But every economist will tell you this, and I've heard it over the years from economists who say the market is full of horrible, low paying jobs. Just walk into any retail place in America, walk into a mall for the few that still exist, walk into any place that offers no prosperity, and they will tell you no one wants to work anymore. And if you're like me, I would prefer to say I'm unemployed than admit that I was working in a job like my current one. I take no pride in where I work currently. It's still better than having to wear a goofy hat and ask if you want fries with that. But in my opinion, it's in the same tier. There is no education that I had to take in order to do this job. It's not using any of my four college degrees. It's just a job. It's a trade job. Like if you picked up plumbing or electrical or mechanical work from your parents or a friend. That's all this is I'm self-taught in technology, and that's why I can take this job. But there are a lot of points in this job that make you realize that this is not a good job. I've talked about these endlessly on this channel, but number one thing about my job is it has no flexibility whatsoever. The only time of the year in which I can take vacation without things falling apart is during the holidays, because that's when there's a lull in employment and recruitment for more people. And ever since the leadership has left of this corporation, this is an update that I got yesterday, and my boss called me last night after work to say, "Hey, Millennials team, I know we got 30 or 50 last Friday. We got another 50 that left this Friday. We're going to have another 50 to 100 people that will be leaving the corporation by the end of this week." And I'm the person who has to process all of the paperwork for these people. So he's just giving me a heads up that there's going to be a tidal wave of paperwork that I'm going to have to do before long. Originally, it was just supposed to be last month. For all of you, happy October. I hope you paid your rent on time. I just paid my rent. Luckily, I mean, I think about that and how fortunate I am to be able to pay my rent on time. But as for these people leaving, I was talking to another corporate person yesterday who said that there was a closed door meeting with the leadership and that there were people who knew that they were going to lose their jobs. People don't come to meetings with leadership and leave the meeting crying because they're going to get raises. There are going to be massive layoffs in our society, and they're coming hot and heavy because the economy is slowing down. And with a general strike on the docks right now, I actually did a video about that you guys might watch today. It's a shorter video because I had just gotten back from the gym and someone asked if I could do this video in the comments, and I said, okay, I'll try to do this, but the chat GPT would not work. It would not generate anything. It just kept erroring out. Not sure what was going on there. All right, moving on to my second talking point. Men are increasingly opting out of low wage jobs that offer no advancement, poor pay, and minimal social recognition. Yesterday, while I was talking to Gen Z, he's already decided that this job is not going to provide advancement. The poor pay is not enough to sustain him, and recognition is none. He doesn't have a speaking job. He knows that there's nothing here other than doing the same mindless task over and over again. And even a person as low functioning as himself has come to the conclusion that he needs to be somewhere else. And you're talking about a person who's only worked retail his entire life. This is his first non retail job. And even getting here, after a couple of weeks, seeing all of the negative signs from the corporation that the layoffs are coming, he's just decided. Yesterday, he spent most of the day on Indeed applying for other jobs right in front of me, like letting me know. It's like, hey, I know that you've been looking for something better for a long time. And he just decided that he was just going to start using his work time to look for other jobs. And you can't blame the guy. I mean, there is no advancement. And yesterday, while I was talking to one of the really old guys I was at the Kroger parking lot telling him about the video that I made on the artificial intelligence a couple days, which if you haven't seen that video is one of the best things I've put on YouTube. Anyhow, he referred to the fact that guys like us, they find guys like us. So if you bring a person into a technology job and you show that person that there is no advancement, he even used the what do you call it? The example of not even title changes. He's worked for the same company for 5 years with the same job title, the 3% merit raises every year, and he realizes that there's no path towards advancement. And he said to me, this company looks for guys like us, guys who won't fight back, guys who will accept the fact that the pay is going to be low as long as you choose to be here. And I mean, this is a 55-year-old man that's seen a lot. And I've got a 20 something year old Gen Z who's only been here for a few weeks and already sees that he's got to start looking for the door out. And maybe it's not going to be anything better because, in his own words, it can take years to get a couple of dollars worth of raise from any company. And that's if they keep you around because more and more employers are looking at performance based metrics in order for you to continue to keep your job. Yesterday, when I did the annual review, the review took me like 3 hours to get through because they wanted to dissect your job and let you know that you're being graded on all of these factors that it would be impossible for anyone to be able to meet. I was even talking to a woman that works in another state, and she said that she did not meet all of her metrics for her job, and she works really hard. And the reason for not meeting your metrics is because they're impossible, especially when it comes to sales. So you've got people who are being put into impossible situations. Their financial situation is dire because they're living uh, from paycheck to paycheck, covering rent and food, and that's it. So you're not even getting the recognition of being a human being that needs resources. So the recognition, in my opinion, is humiliation. When you show up at a job day in and day out, you don't do it because you want to be there. You do it because you need food and shelter. No comfort is being offered in the vast majority of the 99% bottom level jobs. And again, I'm going to comment. What was this? I am going to congratulate. I was going to say commence, but I don't think that's the proper word. I was going to congratulate. Maybe that's the word I was looking for those dock workers on their strike, and I will talk about this more. But they are looking for an incredible amount of money. A 75% raise in America is absolutely unheard of. I don't think I've gained 75% in my entire life of workings because I've been a minimum wage worker my whole life. So the idea of thousands of people stopping work, disrupting the supply lines across America in order to strike for living pay. Because remember what I've said on this channel for years, living pay starts at $150,000 to $250,000 a year. That's living pay. Because if they want you to buy a house and pay on this house for 30 to 40 years, your entire adult life, they want you paying on your house. And if you miss one payment, they can take your home away from you. So you could build it all the way up till the end. And then let's say you lose your job and you can't make your house payments. The bank comes in and repossesses your home and you've lost everything that you've done for your whole life. And that's part of the game. That's why the financial crisis of 2008 was such a big deal. Why all those people lost their homes because your home is where you build wealth. And for most of us who will never own a home like myself, the realization that I will never be able to do anything with hourly work, it hits you harder and harder every single day. And I say this to people on the street, people that I meet. Hourly work is the work of the devil. All right, moving on to our third talking point. Many of these men feel that the available jobs aren't dignified and offer little respect or purpose. I've talked about this just in the last week. I called them the level L or L class jobs. Further destroys what's left of your self esteem. Can you imagine being a middle aged man working at a McDonald's next to your teenage son, making the same amount and being treated the same way by your manager that's still in high school? That was actually a comment down there this week on one of my videos. Is someone who fell from a high paying job down into the minimum wage and couldn't believe the lack of respect in the workplace just because he couldn't find a good job. This is a person who was making, I think he said ten to $15,000 a month, dropping down to a job that pays roughly $600 to $800 every 2 weeks. 15,000 a month to $300 to $400 a week. That's ridiculous. That's what my Gen Z makes right now. I think he makes around $450 per week, which again is not exactly in the living wage category. But the L class job is a standard job in this country that allows the elites to live as elites. Because in order to have an executive class, you need to have a bottom class. You need the proletariat wallowing around in mud and feces and goo and sweat and alcohol. You need them down there rolling around with each other, Johnny Six Pack covered in whatever slime. And he's still, think of this. Even though the proletariat is as disgusting as it still is having more love than the rest of us who are choosing to not participate. All of these men who've decided to leave the working class. You're talking about age men between the ages of 25 and 55. That is the prime of men working on planet Earth. If those men are leaving work, this means that they're not going to be suitable partners for Susie Homemaker. Susie Rottencrotch might give them the occasional ride because they feel sorry for him, but for the most part, this male that's dropping out of the workforce is a solitary creature. And in my next bullet point, I'm going to point that out because it is very, very real as to what is happening to these men. If I had the option of dropping out of the labor market at this very second and finding some other way, any other way, even if I had to uh, pull down my pants, have my pants around my ankles 8 hours a day, which technically I already do. If I could just do that, it would still be better than going to a humiliating job, having to put fries in the bag, little bro, or being called a retard by a customer who doesn't understand why a middle aged man is pushing shopping carts at a Kroger's, or he asks you why you didn't go to school, or why you don't start a business, or why are you working this job? uh, the constant questions when you are at a level C job, it is just one of those situations like, why do you think I'm here? This is what I would tell people all the time when I worked in my low paying jobs. It's like, I'm here because I can't find anything better. And if you're going to come to my job and humiliate me every day, I would rather you shut up than tell me how much of a loser I am, because I'm the one wearing the uniform, not you. I have to acknowledge every day that I'm not proud of my employment. I wouldn't tell my friends about where I work. I wouldn't tell my family where I work. And I would never let a professor that I went to school with know that I was working in a minimum wage job. The humiliation would be just too great. What was left of my self esteem at that point would ooze out of my rear, right down the side of my leg, and into my shoe. That's how bad it would be for me. All right, and our final talking point here is many men perceive the value of low wage jobs as insufficient to justify the effort or stress. And this is where this phrase that I keep using, immense effort and immense effort and not interested in below average living. This world right now is requiring so much from people. The amount of effort to get to food and rent right now is outrageous. But once you get to food and rent, remember, you're not working one 40-hour week, 1 40-hour a week job. You're working as many hours as you humanly can. And even with the immense effort that you're putting forth, there's no guarantee that you are going to be successful. And in fact, chances are that even with immense effort, you're going to be a loser. And that means you're not going to get any pink taco. And as soon as you eliminate the pink taco from the equation, that immense effort turns into zero effort. Because remember what I like to say, Minimum wage, minimum effort. And this is our society. We've taken the idea of immense effort for nothing. And then we scratch our heads. It's like, why aren't men participating? Where are all these 25 to 50 year old men? There's no pink taco. There's no house. There's no car. There's just immense effort for nothing. So, when I was watching this video and they were showing how these men that are dropping out of the workforce are spending their lives, one thing really stood out to me about what men who aren't working are doing. And the pastime is spending more hours sleeping because everything is expensive in this world. And as a man, sleeping is the cheapest thing you can do. That's why the homeless people are always sleeping on the side of the road. Why engage in reality when you open your eyes and it's a dystopian world all around you when you can just close your eyes? That's what I did. I was going to get up at 5 o'clock this morning to go to the gym. And you know what? That immense effort to go to the gym just went right out the window because I thought, who cares? Sometimes going to the gym is about looking good in order to get pink taco. But the 99% of men that go to the gym aren't going to get the results that they need in order to get pink taco. So even though they're trying, they're not going anywhere. And it's the same thing about below average jobs in our society. Some men are going, but what they want from going to work and putting forth that effort isn't there. Women aren't attracted to men with L class jobs. The bigger the L on your forehead, the more Susie Rottencrotch walks further away from you. And that's just the way it's going to be for the rest of humankind. Whether this is sustainable, which I'm saying it absolutely is not, are women too picky? They're supposed to be picky. The stigma of the single mom right now is making Susie Rottencrotch be a little bit more on edge before she assumes the position behind the Taco Bell. But Johnny Sixpack never stops wanting pink taco. So therefore he's going to keep going to the gym and he's going to keep going to his crappy job, but the end result will always be the same. There's not enough pink taco. Susie isn't behind the Taco Bell with the pink taco enough. Not even the Choco Taco is getting enough work done. And so this leaves men in a very horrible spot. What do you do? And that's toxic positivity today. What do you do when all of your effort to get the thing that you really want is not a way to get it? You give up. And that's what men are showing they're doing. You're giving up, you're playing video games all day, you're sleeping, you're eating bad food, you're just laying around doing nothing. For the best years of your life, you're going to do nothing but sleep and play video games. And I'm going to tell you guys this from my experience. When I wasn't doing anything, that's all I did. All I did all day was play Call of Duty, 10 hours a day. Then I'd get on YouTube and I'd watch something like 402 Outdoors. If you guys want brain rot, 402 Outdoors. It is. I don't even know. I watch it at night after I've had so many Pearl beers that my eyes are about to pop out of my head and my head's going to explode. And I'll just sit there and I'll watch it and I'll think, you know what? This is enough. This is perfect. If I had to build a show for the proletariat, this would be it. A below average Johnny Sixpack and a semi attractive Susie Rottencrotch. If you get a chance, go over to 402 Outdoors. It is the ideal pro entertainment out there, and these guys are generating millions of views because it's what pros want. She's not too hot, but she ain't too bad either, so she's the perfect Susie. Anyhow, with that said, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will catch you in the next one.